Welcome back. You're watching GUTV Bracketology. I'm Scott Weller. At the beginning of the show, we asked you to tweet in about your predictions about the Gonzaga game on Friday, as well as how far you think their run will go. Let's go to Jacqueline in the tweet suite to see some of your responses.
Thank you, Scott. So I asked you to let me know what your predictions are. How far do you think Gonzaga will go? So let's take a look. Ate Horny said, Syracuse's zone defense is easier for Gonzaga's offense to penetrate. I have high hopes for Saturday. Go Zags. At It's Your Girl Olive says, Gonzaga is going to make it to the Elite Eight. We're not done yet. I agree with you there, Olive, but Robert Perry here said, Gonzaga is playing their best basketball of the year. If they continue playing like this, they can make their first Final Four. I agree with you, Robert. I feel like the Zags have their head in the game, and if they keep working hard, we can make it to the Final Four. Back to you, Daniel.
Jacqueline, after a wild weekend of tournament play, the Sweet 16 field is set. And to the surprise of some, the Gonzaga Bulldogs have cruised through the first two rounds, winning 2 games by a combined 39 points. Joining me now is our bracketologist and Bulletin Sports editor, Eden Lossie, who experienced the run in Denver. What were those 2 games in Denver like?
Those 2 games were an incredible experience to watch and be on the sidelines covering. Gonzaga just blew through the competition. I did not expect them to defeat Utah by such a wide margin, but everything was clicking. They were doing well in all aspects of the game. Defense, offense, shooters were finding their shots. It was just pretty incredible to watch. And now, as a sports editor, you've been covering this team for the entire season, obviously. Right. At what point did this team start to click, and where is this confidence in this style, this level of play coming from? It's pretty crazy because some people have been saying that Gonzaga is not an 11 seed, and while I agree they're much better than an 11 seed, but they didn't really play much better until the WCC tournament, that's when the guards really started clicking, our defense really started clicking. So from there on, they started showing themselves to be a premier team and somebody who could go deep in the tournament. But before that, I never would have seen it coming. And now the Midwest bracket, that regional, is in Chicago, so the play switches to the United Center on Friday. The matchup versus Syracuse, that patented Jim Boeheim 2-3 zone. How do you think the Zags are going to fare in that one? Well, that 2-3 zone is a tough matchup for anybody just because it's not a defense that teams generally see during the regular season. But the biggest and best way to break down a zone like that is to have a talented big man in the middle, and we definitely have that with Domantas Sabonis. And then if they crash down on him, shooters have to be able to find their shot, and we definitely have shooters who are capable of knocking down a 3. It should be a great matchup. Oranges are definitely my least favorite fruit. The social media scene has been buzzing about how Gonzaga's been playing in the predictions. Now let's go back over to Jacqueline Momot in the tweet suite. Jacqueline's got some questions for us.
Thank you, Daniel. So at Momot Biz wanted to know, what game do you think was the biggest upset of the tournament so far?
So we talked a little earlier, this one's been loaded with upsets. What's the one that really stands out for you? Michigan State going down in the first round to Middle Tennessee was a huge shocker. Broke my bracket completely open. I had them winning it all. I think that is the biggest upset of all time in tournament history. They have some huge star power with Denzel Valentine, Player of the Year candidate. They've got senior leadership with Valentine, Bryn Forbes, Matt Costello, so that's really something that no one saw coming, particularly with Tom Izzo, who I think is one of the best coaches in the country and definitely one of the best in March. And once Michigan State went down, that road for Gonzaga seemed to get a little bit more clear. Now let's go back to Jacqueline, and Jacqueline has another one for us.
Robert Perry here asks, how would you rate Middle Tennessee's upset of Michigan State compared to other NCAA tournament upsets?
Now, we just talked about this upset. Biggest one of all time?
I definitely think it is the biggest one of all time. Michigan State has built an incredible resume for March. Tom Izzo always prepares his team, and like I said, they have seniors on this team. They're experienced. They've been in March. So the fact that they dropped in that fashion in the first round was shocking to me, shocking to the whole country, I think.
Now, okay, so let's go back to Chicago. We got Gonzaga's going to play Syracuse, and then they get the winner of Iowa State, Virginia. Does Gonzaga have enough to cut down the nets in Chicago and make it to the first ever Final Four in school history?
If the Zags continue to play the way they're playing, I would say they definitely have a shot at their first Final Four. The defense has to continue being sharp like it has been. The guards have to continue playing at their full potential. We got to get everything we can out of Sabonis and Wiltshire. But if they continue to play at the level that they've been playing and at the level that they're capable, there is no doubt in my mind that they can get to a Final Four.
Now, after covering this team in Denver and the different press conferences and interviews you had, what's the one quote either from Coach Few or the players that really sticks out to you?
The quote that sticks out to me is from Josh Perkins, their point guard. He's a great interview, and he said, talking about Sabonis and Wiltshire, he says, "I have the best front court in the country. It's a two-headed monster, and it's my job to feed it." And I thought that was an incredible way to sum up that team.
Awesome. Well, Eden, thank you very much. Hopefully, your prediction comes true. You have more faith than your colleague Andy Bueller does. He was here last week. He said Gonzaga was going to lose to Utah. We all know how that one turned out. Now let's go back over to Scott Weller to wrap up tonight's show.
Thanks, Daniel, and thank you guys so much for watching our show. The Zags Sweet 16 game against Syracuse is on March 25th. Tip-off is at 6:40 p.m. and our next episode of GUTV Bracketology will be on Wednesday, March 30th at 5. We're also going to feature our Senior of the Week, Caroline Rourke, and our Senior of the Week next week is going to be Yalda Rafi, and our Alumni of the Week is Molly Garrity. So that's going to be great. Make sure you tune in for that at 5 o'clock. Thank you so much for watching GUTV Bracketology, and good night.